Have you ever sat by the window on a quiet afternoon, watching the world go by and wondering, is this just it? Is this how the story ends, just you, the silence, and the memories? Have you ever felt your heart ache, not from illness, but from that soft, persistent emptiness that creeps in when no one calls, no one checks in, when the chair across the table stays empty far too often? Maybe you've tried putting yourself out there again. You gave it a shot, dinner here, a chat there. Maybe even tried one of those newfangled apps your niece set up for you. But something didn't feel right. Maybe it was the pressure to change, to shrink yourself, to be someone you're not, just to make a connection. And deep down, you wondered, is it really possible to find love again, real love, without losing yourself? Without compromising your routines, your values, your peace? You're not alone in that thought. Not by a long shot. In fact, one of the most whispered questions among people over 65 is this: do I even deserve companionship anymore? And let me tell you something, yes, you do. See, love after 65 isn't like it was in your 20s. It's deeper. Quieter. Wiser. It's not about butterflies and drama. It's about being seen, being understood. It's about sharing a warm silence that doesn't need to be filled. It's about laughing over old stories, and dreaming up just a few more new ones. But here's the thing. Loneliness doesn't just make you feel sad. It chips away at your health. It can raise your blood pressure, weaken your immune system, and even affect your memory. Studies show it's as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Imagine that. Not being hugged, not being heard, can be as harmful as a lifetime of bad habits. But here's the good news, you don't have to settle. You don't have to chase a version of love that doesn't fit you anymore. Because companionship after 65 is not about pretending. It's about being more you than ever, and finding someone who sees that and says, yes, that's exactly what I've been looking for. So in this video, we're going to uncover 5 powerful truths about finding meaningful companionship later in life, truths that break the old rules and offer something better. We'll talk about how to build deep, respectful, and joyful connections that don't require you to change who you are. Or give up your peace of mind. So, stick around. You're going to hear stories, insights, and advice that might just open a new door in your life. And hey, if your heart still believes in second chances, even if it's just a quiet little whisper inside you, type "I believe in second chances" in the comments below. Let's show the world that love doesn't expire. And while you're here, go ahead and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide, where we talk about the real stuff. Aging, health, hope, and the kind of connection that truly matters. Let's dive in. Let's start with the first truth: companionship doesn't have to mean romance. Meet Harold. He's 72. Widowed for nearly a decade. And for a long time, he thought that chapter of his life, the part with love, connection, and warmth, was over. He wasn't looking for candlelit dinners. He wasn't looking for butterflies. He just missed having someone to talk to, someone to walk beside, someone to see him. One day, while out running a simple errand, Harold bumped into a woman named Elaine, a friend from his college days. They started catching up over coffee. And then coffee turned into weekly walks in the park. No pressure. No expectations. Just 2 old souls, finding rhythm in conversation and silence alike. Now Harold says those walks are the highlight of his week. He looks forward to their shared jokes. The easy laughter. The comfort of being known. No romantic entanglements. No labels. Just honest-to-goodness companionship. And here's something many people forget, especially as we age. We often believe that closeness must come with romance. But for many older adults, what we really long for is not a partner to sweep us off our feet, but someone who listens, someone who remembers the small things, someone who makes us feel safe. You see, emotional connection becomes even more important as we age. We've lived full lives. We've loved, we've lost. We've learned. At this stage, we're not looking for grand gestures, we're craving understanding. Shared stories. Familiar comfort. And those things don't require flowers and fancy dates. In fact, one of the biggest myths we're told is this, that we must be romantically complete in order to be happy. But I'll tell you the truth, many seniors are not just surviving, they are thriving in platonic partnerships. They're traveling together. Cooking meals for one another. Checking in with a daily phone call or a handwritten letter. They're showing up for each other in quiet, beautiful ways. So, if you're feeling that ache for connection, but the idea of dating feels exhausting or uncomfortable, breathe easy. You don't need to swipe right. You don't need to chase something that doesn't feel like you. Instead, look around. Who makes you smile without trying? Who feels like calm in a noisy world? That might just be your person, romance or not. Here's something you can do today: nurture the friendships you already have. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Invite a neighbor for tea. Companionship isn't built in grand moments. It grows in the small, repeated ones: laughter over old jokes, regular visits, shared routines. Because sometimes, the greatest connection comes not from romance, but from reliability. Not from sparks, but from stillness. From knowing someone is simply there. And speaking of comfort, let's talk about something that becomes even more essential as we grow older: boundaries. Why they matter, how they protect your peace, and what they mean when building healthy connections after 65. Boundaries are not barriers, they're bridges. Let me tell you about Gloria. She's 68, recently retired, and just began seeing someone new after years of being on her own. They got along well: dinners, long walks, late-night talks. But as things got closer, Gloria started feeling something unexpected. Not joy. Not excitement. But anxiety. Why? Because for the first time in years, someone else was stepping into her peaceful, quiet rhythm. She loved her mornings with the newspaper and coffee, alone. She valued her space. Her routines. Her freedom to decide when and where to go. But she feared that setting boundaries, asking for space, time, independence, might make her seem cold, or worse, unloving. Still, one evening over dinner, she spoke up. She gently said, "I love our time together. But I also need my Sundays to myself. That quiet time, it fills me back up." And you know what happened? He didn't walk away. He didn't get offended. He smiled and said, "Thank you for telling me. I need that kind of honesty, too." And from that moment on, their bond got stronger, not weaker. Because Gloria stopped performing, and started being real. You see, after 65, we're finally clear on what we want, and what we don't. We've done the people-pleasing. We've done the stretching ourselves thin. This stage of life is not about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about protecting your peace while making space for meaningful connection. Healthy companionship, the kind that lasts, is built when both people feel safe enough to say, "Here's what I need. Here's what I love. And here's what I'm not willing to give up." That's not selfishness. That's self-respect. Unfortunately, there's still a common misconception out there, that love means compromise, and compromise means shrinking yourself. Giving up your favorite habits. Letting someone else take the driver's seat in your life. But that's not love. That's codependence. And it drains you slowly, until you wake up one day and don't recognize your own life anymore. So, here's a practical step you can take: have the "what matters to me" conversation early on. Whether it's with a new friend, a partner, or even your adult children. It could sound like this: "I really value quiet mornings, so I might not be chatty before noon. Or, I've worked hard to create peace in my home, I'm not looking to move in with anyone right now. Or even, I love companionship, but I also love solitude. Both are important to me. You'd be surprised how many people will respect you more for saying it. Because it shows you know yourself. And when you know who you are, you become the kind of person others trust deeply. Boundaries aren't fences that keep people out. They're bridges that show people how to love you the right way. And in this stage of life, when peace of mind is sacred, boundaries are non-negotiable. Now, let's take that idea of connection a step further. Because believe it or not, there's a whole new world of companionship opening up right now, and it's happening through a screen. Let's explore how technology is changing the way seniors are forming deep, meaningful bonds, and why it's no longer just a young person's game. Technology is your ally, not your enemy. I know. Maybe you've looked at your smartphone and thought, this thing has too many buttons. Maybe you've scrolled through a screen and wondered, what does that even mean? But let me tell you a story that might just change your perspective. Arthur is 76. He never considered himself tech-savvy. He used to say, if it doesn't have a rotary dial, I'm not interested. But after his wife passed, the silence in his house grew heavier by the day. He missed the casual conversations, the laughter at dinner, the feeling that someone was there. One day, his granddaughter helped him sign up for a Facebook group dedicated to local walking trails. He didn't think much of it. Just posted a quick hello. Got a few likes. Then a message popped up, hey, I walk that trail too. Want to meet at the fountain this Saturday? He met Daniel, a fellow widower. And that one walk turned into a standing weekly tradition. They've since taken train trips together, joined a hiking club, and even tried kayaking once. Don't worry, they stayed dry. Arthur will tell you this himself now, with a grin on his face, Facebook saved my social life. Here's the truth, more and more seniors are turning to technology, and not just to pass time. They're using it to connect. To meet new friends. To see the faces of their grandkids in real time. To join book clubs, share recipes, learn new languages, and yes, even date. And there's science behind this too. Studies show that seniors who engage regularly online are more mentally sharp, more socially fulfilled, and less likely to suffer from isolation-related illnesses like depression or anxiety. But here's the problem, we've been told that apps, chats, or video calls are for them, the younger crowd. We've been made to feel like outsiders in a world that moves too fast. But the truth? There are platforms designed just for you. Silver Singles, Stitch, Our Time, these aren't gimmicks. They're built for real conversations, with people who understand life, loss, and love the way you do. People who aren't looking for games. People who, like you, are just looking for something real, whatever that means to them. So where do you start? Start small. Ask a family member to help you create a profile on a trusted platform. Join a local community group on Facebook and simply leave a comment. Watch a live stream of a class you're interested in, yoga, painting, history, anything. Join a Zoom coffee chat or book discussion for retirees. You don't need to be a computer genius. You just need curiosity. And maybe a little courage. Because once you get past that first click, once you open that first conversation, you'll see that companionship doesn't care about the method, just the message. And the message is, you're not alone. Not anymore. But connection isn't just about words on a screen or voices over the phone. It's about being seen. Truly seen. And that brings us to the next truth. It doesn't always make headlines. But it's what so many of us are really craving, emotional intimacy. Not grand gestures. Not whirlwind romance. But that quiet feeling of being understood. Of being seen. Without explanation. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 70. She was married to her high school sweetheart for nearly 45 years. When he passed, she thought that chapter of her life, love, connection, being close to someone, was closed for good. She wasn't looking. She wasn't expecting. But at her weekly grief support group, she met Robert. He didn't try to fix her sadness. He didn't fill the silence with clichés or empty words. He just sat beside her. Listened. Asked her how she really felt on days she didn't want to speak. And when she did speak, he heard her. Truly heard her. Over time, they formed a bond not built on shared hobbies or even physical affection, but on emotional safety. They created a space where both could speak honestly, without fear of being judged or pitted. And in that space, love didn't rush in, it unfolded, slowly, gently, just as it needed to. You see, after 65, something shifts. We're not chasing sparks, we're seeking shelter. A soft place to land at the end of the day. Someone who gets it, the ups, the losses, the wins, the regrets. Someone who meets us where we are, not where they think we should be. That's emotional intimacy. It's about feeling safe in someone's presence. It's about being known, not just noticed. But let's clear up a common myth here: you don't have to spill your entire life story on the first conversation. This isn't about emotional oversharing. It's about intentional openness. Because when you're open in the right ways, when you say, "I've been through some things, but I'm still hopeful," or "I've learned to find peace in the small moments," you give the other person permission to show up as their full self too. And that's where the magic happens. So, here's a simple but powerful practice: get curious. Ask real questions, not just, "Where are you from?" but, "What brings you peace these days? What are you still hoping to experience in this life? What made you laugh this week?" And don't just ask, share. Talk about the things you've learned, and the things you're still learning. The people you miss. The dreams you haven't given up on. Because when you show someone your heart, piece by piece, you invite them to do the same. And that kind of connection, that's not reserved for the young. It's not reserved for couples who've been together forever. It's available now. To you. Right where you are. Whether it's a partner, a friend, or even someone you're just getting to know, let your emotional truth be part of the bond. Because in the end, physical closeness fades. But being emotionally understood, that's what lasts. Now, before we wrap up, there's one last truth we have to talk about. And it may be the most important one of all. Your sense of purpose is still the most attractive thing about you. Let's explore how staying rooted in who you are, your passions, your mission, your daily joys, can be the foundation of the most fulfilling companionships you'll ever experience. Frank and Louise, they didn't meet on a dating site. They didn't bump into each other at a cafe or at a dance. They met stacking boxes. At a neighborhood food pantry, sorting canned goods and organizing shelves. They were both in their early 70s. Both widowed. Both trying to fill the long, quiet days with something that mattered. At first, it was just casual conversation between shifts. Talking about their grandkids, laughing about the chaos of grocery lines, swapping soup recipes. But week after week, something deeper started to build. Not because they were flirting. Not because they were trying to impress one another. But because they shared a mission. They believed in showing up for others. They believed in making their time count. And that, right there, that shared purpose, became the glue. You see, when you do something meaningful side by side with someone, the bond that forms is different. It's not based on appearances. It's not based on small talk. It's based on who you are at your core. And the beautiful thing is, that kind of connection, it lasts. Here's what we often get wrong about companionship later in life: we assume it has to start with chemistry. A spark. Butterflies in the stomach. But what if the deeper spark comes from alignment? When your values match. When you both care about the same things, show up the same way, and invest your time in something greater than yourselves, that's where the most satisfying, soulful companionship is born. Let's talk about the science for a moment. Studies show that older adults who stay connected to a sense of purpose, whether it's through volunteering, mentoring, creative expression, or caregiving, live longer, feel happier, and experience more fulfilling relationships. Because purpose gives you energy. It gives you direction. It gives you something to talk about, something to share, and something to build together. So, if you're wondering where to begin, start there. Don't chase connection. Let it find you while you're doing what you love. If you love books, join a reading circle at your local library. If you have a green thumb, volunteer at a community garden. If you've got wisdom to share, offer your time to mentor younger folks. If you love animals, spend an afternoon at a local shelter. Go where your passion already lives. Because when you show up fully to something that lights you up, the people you meet there are already speaking your language. You don't have to bend yourself to fit anyone. You don't have to shrink, pretend, or settle. You just have to stay rooted in who you are. Because confidence in your purpose, that quiet knowing that your time matters, is more attractive than any wrinkle cream, dating profile, or clever pickup line. That energy you carry when you're alive in your element, that's what draws people in. That's what makes them want to know you, stand beside you, walk with you. Frank and Louise didn't go looking for love. They went looking for meaning. And they found both. So let me say this to you clearly, the most magnetic thing about you is not your history, it's your heart. Not what you've lost, but what still lights you up. Purpose isn't just good for your soul. It's the path to the most authentic connections you'll ever have. Now, all of these truths we've explored lead us to one final, powerful message. You do not have to compromise who you are to find love. In fact, being unapologetically yourself is the very thing that will draw the right companionship into your life. Let's talk about what that means, and why your later years might just be the beginning of your most meaningful love story yet. Yes, it's vulnerable to seek connection again. Especially after all you've lived through. Especially after loss, after heartbreak, after years of learning to stand on your own. It's not easy to open that door. To show someone the quiet parts of your life again. To invite them in, not just to your home, but to your routine, your rituals, your peace. Some days, it might feel safer to stay guarded. To convince yourself, I'm doing just fine alone. And maybe you are. But being fine and being fulfilled. Those are two different things. And here's the thing no one says out loud, it takes incredible courage to hope again. To believe that love, in any form, is still possible after all this time. But it is. You're not starting over. You're starting wiser. With more clarity. With more honesty. With a deeper understanding of what you truly want, and what you'll never settle for again. That's the gift of age. You no longer chase what's shallow. You seek what's real. So, let's reframe this. Let's stop looking at companionship after 65 as some kind of second-best option. It's not a consolation prize. It's not what's left over. It's a renewal. A chance to write a chapter that belongs entirely to you. One that isn't rushed by youth, or shaped by obligation, but led by intention, and choice, and truth. Because love in this season of life? It's more grounded. More gentle. More meaningful. You've lived long enough to know that chemistry fades. But character? Kindness? Shared laughter at the end of a long day? That's what stays. So, let this be the moment you stop waiting. Let this be the moment you take that brave, beautiful first step. Call that friend. Join that community center group you've been thinking about. Say yes to that coffee invite, even if your heart flutters a little with nerves. Every connection starts with one small moment of courage. Just one. And even if it doesn't lead to romance, it may lead to something else just as powerful. Belonging. Understanding. Joy. You don't have to sacrifice your independence to welcome someone into your world. You don't have to let go of your values, your lifestyle, your essence. Love that's right for you will fit your life, not try to rewrite it. Not reshape you. You deserve a connection that sees you fully and says, I like you just as you are. So, here's the hope I want to leave you with: it's never too late to feel seen. It's never too late to be loved well. And it's certainly never too late to open your heart, on your own terms. Because the best kind of companionship doesn't take away from your life. It adds to it. Softly. Naturally. Like a familiar hand resting beside yours, without needing to say a word. Now, let's take a moment to revisit what we've learned today, and reflect on what your own next step might look like. So today, we explored 5 key shifts. Not just tips or tricks, but real, meaningful truths about what it takes to find fulfilling companionship after 65. Let's take a moment to breathe it in. First, companionship doesn't have to be romantic. It can be a deep friendship, a shared laugh over coffee, or someone who simply understands the silence with you. Second, boundaries are bridges. Not walls. Not cold refusals. But clear pathways that help two people meet in a space of respect and care. Third, technology is your ally. It's not just for the young. It's a door to communities, shared interests, even second chances. You don't have to be a tech whiz. Just willing. Fourth, emotional intimacy is the goal. Not performance. Not pretending. But honesty, presence, and someone who sees you, not just your age, not just your past, but you. And fifth, purpose fuels connection. When you follow what lights you up, you'll find others walking that path too. And that's where the richest bonds begin. Now I want to hear from you. Yes, you, listening right now. What do you think? Is companionship after 65 better than it was before? Why or why not? Drop your thoughts in the comments, be honest. Be curious. Be kind. I read every single one, and your story might just be the encouragement someone else needs to take that first step. And if this video helped you see aging, connection, or love in a new light, if it reminded you of what's still possible, give it a thumbs up. It helps others find this message, and it tells me we're creating something meaningful here together. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide if you haven't already. This space is for you, for your reflections, your questions, your journey. We talk about real things. Hard things. Beautiful things. Because aging isn't the end of anything, it's the becoming of who you were always meant to be. Thank you for spending this time with me. It means more than you know. Remember, whether you're 65 or 95, your story isn't over. You're just turning the page. And what comes next could be your most beautiful chapter yet. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, and stay wise.